Welcome to this Tutor to You sociology topic video looking at changing patterns of family life, focusing on the diversity of family structures. Sociologists have long debated whether or not there is such a thing as a typical family. With the variety of family structures in contemporary society, this debate becomes more complex as structural theories that suggest a typical family structure exists are rejected. For example, functionalists suggest that the typical family structure is closely aligned to that of the nuclear family, with two partners and their children, usually opposite-sex partners and their biological children. Other theorists, however, point to the changes in society that have meant that there is an increasing diversity of family types, suggesting there is no such thing as a typical family in contemporary society. And in this video, we're going to look at some of the competing positions on this debate. First of all, we need to examine how the family structure has changed over the last 40 years. According to the Office for National Statistics, there are 19.2 million households in the UK that comprise a wide variety of family types. The most common family type is married or civil partnership couples, both same-sex and opposite-sex, and these comprise around 2/3 of households that have a couple in, cohabiting couples making up the large part of the remainder. Lone parent families have increased in the UK to just under 3 million in 2019, representing 14.9% of households in 2019. These are more common in urban areas, with London having the most lone parent families, whilst the rural southwest has the lowest percentage in the UK, with just over 10% of households comprising one parent. There's been an increase in the number of people living alone in recent years, increasing by over a fifth, with a large number of males aged between 45 and 64 making up a large section of this, possibly due to divorce or separation from partners. Lone person households are often dependent upon geography, with wide variations, often based upon the cost of living. Scotland has the highest percentage of people living alone, with London and its higher cost of accommodation having the lowest percentage of people living alone. Another recent development in family diversity is the rise of multiple family households. And whilst this represents only 1.1% of the total households in the UK, it has increased by almost 75% in the last 20 years, to just under 300,000 in 2019. And this includes couples who are sharing with other couples, and grandparents living with their married son or daughter and their family. Looking at some of the theoretical explanations, Robert Chester suggests that family diversity has been largely exaggerated in contemporary society. While more households in the UK do not have the traditional family structure, more people live in a traditional family structure than alone or as lone parents. This includes those who are not married, as well as opposite-sex parents and same-sex couples. Same-sex marriage was not allowed at the time of Chester's research. He also suggested a life course approach to studying the family, suggesting that many who live alone would form traditional families in the future, and that many who were lone parents had come from traditional family structures and would possibly go on to form a subsequent parents and child structure, a reconstituted family. Whilst the organisation of the family may differ from household to household, the structure of two adults in a relationship and children was still the most common in society. We've looked at the research of the Rappaports in one of our earlier videos, but in the debate over family diversity, the Rappaports offer an explanation as how family diversity occurs and has always occurred. By examining diversity on the grounds of organisation, cultural background, life cycle, social class and cohort or generational diversity, the Rappaports suggested that even in a similar family structure, the organisation of family life may be very different. A working class family will operate in a different way to a middle class family. An Asian family will be structured in a different way to many black families in the UK, whilst a family entering old age will be structured and organised in a very different manner than a young family with young children. And so the Rappaports would suggest that diversity exists between all forms of family, regardless of the structure. A more recent look into family diversity is offered by Brannen et al. They suggested that in the late 21st century that the beanpole family was becoming the norm. People are living longer and parents are becoming increasingly involved in the lives of their adult children, offering practical support with childcare and in some instances financial support. The growth of beanpole families is due to people having smaller families with less children, and as people are living longer there are more generations alive at the same time. This makes the structure more akin to a beanpole rather than the traditional pyramid shape of families with 3 or more children. Theoretical approaches often focus on the nuclear family as an ideal form of family, and this is no more evident than when examining the new right view of family life. Policies to reinforce the traditional family structure, such as giving tax breaks to married couples, have shown their preference for traditional family types. Feminists, on the other hand, have welcomed the change in family diversity, particularly the increased choice for women and greater control over their lives. Policies such as divorce reform and control over reproductive rights have given women more opportunities than in the past, and this greater diversity is celebrated by feminists. Other approaches such as postmodern and personal life perspective views centre more on the individual and suggest that individuals construct their families through their interactions with others, making the family more diverse as it includes friends, colleagues and even pets as part of the family unit. When looking at the family diversity debate, we can see that data from the Office of National Statistics supports Chester's view that the most common family structure remains that of adults with their children, albeit slightly amended to include reconstituted cohabiting and same-sex couples. However, the increase of lone person and lone parent families cannot be discounted as a trend, and therefore family diversity is growing in the 21st century. One of the reasons for this is the greater choice that individuals have, something that postmodernists and those who study the sociology of personal life would agree with. However, perhaps the most convincing argument remains that of life course analysis, with many people living in similar ways at different times in their lives. A typical household for somebody in their early 20s may be to live alone or as part of a house share, whilst in their 30s and 40s being part of a nuclear family structure would be more common. It is quite feasible, therefore, that there is a typical family for each stage of our lives. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on changing patterns of family life, focusing on the diversity of family structures. Thanks for watching.